Good morning, students. Welcome to this session of physics. In this session, we are going to discuss an important topic from physics, that is what force and laws of motion. Before starting the concept, I would like to remind you the mechanical states of an object, as we use this mechanical states of object in further concepts throughout the session. So that's why, see, every object contains two mechanical states. Either it will be in state of rest or in state of motion. So what is state of rest? For example, with the fixed surroundings, see here, with the fixed surroundings, if the position of an object will not change with respect to time. If the position of an object will not change with respect to time, then that state of motion of an object is called state of rest. Right. Now, if the object position changes continuously, for example, see here, now previously I was here and now I am here, so my position is continuously changing with time. If the position of an object with respect to time continuously changes, then that state is called motion. So every object either be in state of rest or in state of motion. Now coming to the actual topic, see, in our day-to-day life, we carry out so many actions from the beginning of a day to the end of our day. Like for example, brushing your teeth, taking bath, cooking food, eating, dressing, and all other activities, reading, writing, jumping. In all these activities, see, the two things are present. See, you can observe so many actions in nature. See, look at this picture. See, digging bowel, sipping a juice and pushing a table, hosting flag, the fruits are falling from the tree, and playing, throwing ball. Like in all activities, there are two things present. If you observe, there are two things. One is who is doing that action. That is what called source. And next, on which the action is being done. That is what called object. Source and object. Now, in any action, based on the movement of object, the forces are divided into based on the movement of action, the movement of object in the action. The actions are divided into two types. Number one, push, another one is pull. See here in the slide. So in case of rolling in some actions, for example, you are applying glue to the paper and writing and putting away a book into your bag, kicking, throwing, or if you are opening the door from outside. So in all these actions, the objects are moving towards the source, and these actions are called as push. Now coming to the another set of actions, like for example, you are fastening your jeep, or you are wearing your shoe and climbing, opening a door from inside, or getting a book from bookshelf or bag, or put on socks. So in all these actions, see here, the objects are, for example, I want to pull this object, I want to get this object to me. So that means what? I need to apply the force in each direction. That is what the object is moving towards the source. I am the source and this is an object. Now in this case, the object is moving towards me, towards the source. And these type of actions are called as pull. Now see, push or pull on an object is called force. Of course, this is not the actual definition for the force. We can say the actual definition to the force by effects of that force. See, first broadly we classify all the actions into two categories, that is pull and push on any object is called force. Now what a force can do on that object. So depending on that changes produced by the force on an object, let us define the force. See, first let the object, see here, this is an object, see this is an object which is at rest. So this is in state of rest. Now if I push this, then it will be set into motion. That means it comes into motion. Now for example, one object is moving. For example, object is moving. Now I am applying some opposite force on that object. See what happens to the object. The moving object comes into rest by applying the opposite force. Right. Now coming to another case. For example, the object is moving with some speed. Now I apply some force on that. So that means it can increases the speed of the object. And one more thing, take a sponge ball and apply some force on it. See, apply some force on it. So that means what happens to the object? The shape of the object is changed in this case. Now take a rubber band and apply some force on this. See here, what happens to the rubber band? The size of the rubber band increases, right? So in all these cases, see what effects a force can produce on the objects. See, force can move a stationary object. Number 2, force can stop a moving object, and it can change the speed and direction of a moving object, like for example in case of a football game, player changes the direction of ball to pass to another player by applying some force, right? So in that case, the force can change the direction of a moving object. It can change the speed and the direction. Now the force can change the shape and size of an object, right? So on these effects of force, now we will define force in different manner. So force is an interaction on an object which can change the state of motion of an object, that means from rest to motion or motion to rest, and also direction. And number 2 are a size of an object or shape of an object. So an interaction which can change a state of motion of an object or shape of an object or size of an object is called force. Now look at see this, a force is a vector quantity. That means it has direction and magnitude, strength. That strength of the force is measured in newtons. So the strength of the force is measured in newtons, right? And it has direction too, and the direction is indicated with the arrow. For example, I want to indicate a force acting on a block in this direction. For example, this is a block, and force acting on that block in this direction. Now that force F can be written as, for example, 3 newtons. Here 3 is the magnitude of force, a strength of that force, and Newton is the unit in which we are measuring that force, and this arrow indicates the direction, right? Now coming to the next topic, that is net force. So net force is nothing but the sum of all forces acting on an object is called net force. See, in sum means force is not a number, it's not just a number, it has velocity too. That means what we need to consider in the direction also in case of adding. So that is what called vector sum. For example, 2 or more forces are acting on a system, then the resultant of all forces, or simply the vector sum of all forces, is called net force. For example, see, this is an object and here two forces are acting on the system on object, that is what, let it be 5 newtons and this is 10 newtons. Now these two forces are acting in the same direction. Now I am taking the directions also. In a plane we have only two directions, one is x and another one is y. Of course, positive x, positive y, negative y. So this is the coordinate system, and in this I am taking this positive x direction values as positive and negative x direction values I am taking as negative. Right. So see here, in this case both forces are acting on the body in forward x, positive x direction. So what is the net force? F net is equals to vector sum. So if this is taken positive, this also positive, so that means 5 newtons plus 10 newtons. So what is the resultant force on that? 15 newtons, and this is positive. Positive we are taking in the direction of forward, positive x direction. So that means the total net force in positive x direction and strength of total force is 15 newtons. Right. Now take another example. Now the force is acting, take this block. Now the force is acting in a negative x direction, let it be like this, and of course this is also, this is 10 newtons and this is what, 5 newtons for example. Now see, what is the net force acting on this object due to these two forces? F net is equals to, see, this I am taking as negative value, and negative indicates that is in negative x direction, that is 5 newtons plus minus 10 newtons, both are in negative x direction. Right. So 5 newtons plus or minus minus, so that is 5 minus 10, so that is nothing but what, minus 15 newtons, isn't it? So this is the net force acting on this object, and it minus indicates the net force is in the direction of negative x. Right. So now if two forces are acting, let us take another example. See, this is an object, and see, one force is acting in this direction, another force is acting in this direction, let it be 10 newtons, and this is for example 5 newtons. See, in this case if we consider this directional force as positive and the opposite force should be negative, as both are in opposite direction. So now I am taking this force as positive and this force will be negative. What is the net force in this case? F net is equals to 10 newtons plus, and this value should be minus 5 newtons. So that is equals to what? 10 minus 5, that is equals to 5 newtons positive. So in which direction we have taken as positive value? That is in positive x direction. That's why the net force is positive, in the sense the net force is in the direction positive x. Right. For example, if you change this number, this is 5 and this is 10, then what happens? This is 5 plus of minus 10, that means the result will be minus 5, isn't it? So minus indicates what? The net force is in this direction, negative direction. Clear? Right. Now let us move into another topic. Based on this net force, the forces are two types. One is balanced forces, another set of forces are called unbalanced forces. For example, if the net force acting on an object is equals to 0, the condition is if net force acting on an object is equal to 0. That means what? Take an object, apply forces on both sides in opposite direction with the same magnitude, 5 newtons and 5 newtons, same magnitude and in opposite direction. Then what happens to the net force in this case? F net is equals to minus 5 plus of minus 5, that is equals to 0. The total force acting on this object is 0. when the net force acting on the object is 0, then these two forces are called balanced forces, or simply this force balances the another force, right? Now, balanced forces cannot change the state of motion of the object, or simply say cannot move the object. See, for example, take a rubber band, and I am just stretching this rubber band with two hands by applying same force. Same force I am applying here. See here, same force in this direction, same force, and both are in opposite direction, right? Now, rubber band will not move, only it can change the size of the object. So that means the net force is equal to 0. That means the balanced forces cannot move an object, but they can change the size or shape of the object, right? Now coming to the unbalanced forces. For example, the net force acting on a system or an object is not equal to 0. It is 10 and it is 5. Now what is the, and you can take many examples. This is what, both are in same direction, so they will not be balanced, right? And in this direction, whatever. So in all these cases, the net force acting on an object is not equal to 0. There is some net force on the body. So now these forces which are acting on the object, which creates the net force is not equal to 0, are called unbalanced forces. For example, if you are playing a tug of war, then no one is winning or no one is losing. Like for example, two teams are pulling the rope with same magnitude of force, then those two teams balancing with each other, and the forces of those two teams is called balanced forces. And in case of any one of the team is losing, that means what? Forces are not balanced, that is what called unbalanced forces. If you see this picture, in first block, two persons are pushing the block, that's why the block is moving, and the two forces are unbalanced forces. And in case of second block, see, both the persons applying force opposite to each other and with same magnitude, let it be, and the net force becomes 0 and the object will not move, right? So now coming to another topic, that is, now we divide the forces into two categories based on the net force, right? Now let us divide the forces depending on their contact nature. For example, some forces exist without any physical contact between the objects. Like for example, take a ball and just leave this ball free in air, then what happens? Eventually it falls onto the ground, isn't it, right? So who is applying force, who is pulling that object? That is what gravitational force, earth is pulling towards it. That force need not any physical contact with the object to exert the force, and that type of forces which have no need of any contact between object to exert are called contact forces, are called non-contact forces, sorry. And in some case of forces, see, if I want to hold this pen, or if I want to move away this pen, or if I want to move this pen towards me, so I need to touch this pen. There should be some physical contact with my muscles and between my muscles and pen. That means what? With the contact only I can exert some force on this pen. So this type of forces, whenever the physical contact only they exist only whenever there is a physical contact, then that type of forces are called contact forces. So forces are divided into two categories based on their contact nature. One is contact force, another one non-contact forces. And non-contact forces in case of non-contact forces, then no need of any physical contact between the objects, and in case of contact forces there should be a physical contact. Now let us divide what are contact forces, what are non-contact forces. See, contact forces, one is primary force, we know about that gravitational force, and electrostatic force. We will discuss that. First we will discuss non-contact forces. See the slide. Non-contact forces, no need of any physical contact between object, and examples are gravitational force, magnetic force, and electrostatic force, and these are all called field forces, and of course they are also called as forces at distance. And coming to the contact forces, need a physical contact between the object to exert that force. That is what contact forces and muscular force, tension, normal reaction force, and friction. We will discuss one by one. So first we will discuss gravitational force. The gravitational force is a force between two massive objects. According to law of gravitation, every object which contains mass, for example, this is a mass m and one more mass is there, that is what m2, let it be m1. In between two masses in the universe, there exists some attraction force. That force between massive objects or two masses is called gravitational force. Let the distance between these two is r, then the gravitational force is proportional to m1 and m2 masses and inversely proportional to r square. That means what? Every object attracts another object. That force between two masses is called gravitational force. And the gravitational force exerted by earth, for example, this is earth. See here, this is an earth of mass m, and now let one object is there on the surface of mass m, and the distance between center of the earth to center of the object, let it be r, that is radius of the earth if the object is considered as very very small tiny object. Now what is the force acting on that object due to the earth? Fg is equals to, that is what we can write it as, for example, g, where g is called a universal gravitational constant, and Fg is equals to g m mass of the earth, small m mass of the object, and r square radius of the object, and this is what called acceleration due to gravity. Here m is a capital M is the mass of the earth, g is the universal gravitational constant, r is the radius of the earth, and if you substitute all the values you will get that g, that is what 9.8 on the surface of the earth. So this is what m into g. So this is force acting on an object which is on the surface of the earth. That is what also called as weight of the object. The force exerting on an object due to the earth surface, that is what called weight. So weight W is equals to what? mg. Right. So this is an example for the non-contact forces. Right. Now coming to the another non-contact force, you know that very well, magnetic force. So magnetic force is a force which is due to magnets, or the force between magnets and magnetic materials like iron, cobalt, nickel. The force between magnets or force between magnet and magnetic materials. So see here, I have two magnets here. So see, this is one magnet, and if I take another magnet close to this one, see what happens, from the distance only it is attracting another magnet. So that means what? This force called magnetic force is also a distant force or a non-contact force. No need of any physical contact to exert that force. And similarly, if you take a balloon, so take a balloon. Here I have some piece of papers, and take a balloon and rub it with Here I have some piece of papers, and rub the balloon with paper cloth, and see here the papers are attracted towards the balloon and sticking to the balloon. See this from the distance only. So that means this type of force which is acting without any physical contact, this is called non-contact force. And this force due to charges, what is happening here, on rubbing the balloon gets charged, and the force between charges, force due to the charges or between charged bodies is called as electrostatic force, and this electrostatic force is also a non-contact force. So now coming to the contact forces, as already we discussed about muscular force. The muscular force is a contact force which results from the action of muscles. If I want to catch this object, or if I want to hold, if I want to write, if I want to get any object to me, or if I want to throw an object, or in any activities which involves our muscles, so they need physical contact with our body parts with that object. So this type of forces which exist only when there is a physical contact with the object, that is what called contact forces, right? So contact force. After that, one more set of contact forces I will explain you in a broader way. These are all muscular forces. Cycling, pushing, playing, or household work, doing household work, all these need physical contact with the muscles and objects, right? So now see, there is an object, and this is a block, one more object, and there is a contact. This is what called point of contact. See here, this is point of contact. And see, at the point of contact, see, if you draw a line which is passing through the point of contact between two surfaces, and this is what called line of contact, right? Now if two bodies are in contact with each other, at the line of contact there exists two forces due to their contact. Number one set of force will act perpendicular to the line of contact, another set of forces acting parallel to the line of contact. See, this perpendicular force, perpendicular to the line of contact, the force is called as normal force. Remember this, normal in the sense perpendicular. In one meaning, normal is perpendicular, right? So normal force which exist between two surfaces in contact perpendicular to the line of contact, and one more set of force act parallel to the line of contact, and this parallel force is called friction. That means if two objects are in contact, two solid objects are in contact with each other, there exist two contact forces between them. One is perpendicular to the line of contact, which is called as normal reaction force or normal force simply, and parallel to the line of contact, which is called as friction. Now we learn about normal reaction force, the properties of normal reaction force and friction in detail. See here, take an object, and if this object is left free in the air, then what happens? Eventually it falls onto the ground because of applied gravitational pull on that object, right? Now see, if this object is placed on any other surface like this, now what preventing this object from the falling? That is what? My hand. So because of, see, there is no contact between my hand and object, it will fall, right? Whenever it is in contact with my hand, that means my hand preventing, my hand is nothing but consider it as a surface. So this surface, after contact, it is preventing the object from the falling, right? So that means it is balancing the pulling force of gravitational force, due to the gravity. So that balanced force should be in opposite direction. That means every surface pushes the object which is in contact with that surface. So the surface trying to push the object against the surface. This pushing force due to the surfaces and which is perpendicular to the surface is called normal force. And remember it will always, it's a contact force and it is due to the surfaces and always perpendicular to the surface, remember it. Right. Now another contact force, friction. For example, see, if I roll this ball on a surface, so with my force it is come into the motion and it is rolling on the surface. After some time, what happens to the object? It will come into rest. So what is the reason for that object to come into the rest? Means some other force should act on that to stop that object, right? So that force is coming from where? Because of contact with the, no other force is acting, only there is a contact between floor and object is there. So because of that contact between floor and object, this is a floor and this is object, now it is rolling. That means what? If the object is moving in this direction and after some time it came into rest. That means what? Some other force acting in opposite to the motion direction. So that is due to the contact between these two surfaces, and that force which opposes the relative motion of the object with surface is called friction. So friction always parallel to the line of contact, as I said in this case, parallel to the line of contact, and it always opposes the relative motion of an object. So friction is a contact force which always opposes the relative motion between two objects. Now, right. So now coming to the another contact force, that is what? Tension. See, tension is a force which is generated inside the stretched strings or stretched ropes. For example, see this one load. See, this mass is hanged with this string. So assume if I cut this string off, cut this rope off, then what happens to this mass? It falls onto the ground because of gravitational pull acting on it. Now it is balanced. So which force is balancing? See, consider this force only, right? Consider this one only. So which force is balancing the gravitational pull? That is due to what? This string, isn't it? So one force is acting in upward direction due to this string, which balances the gravitational pull acting on the object. That's why this object is not falling. So the force which is due to strings or ropes or threads and which is acting axially, which is called as tension. And remember, tension is always a pulling force. It always pulls the object towards it axially. So this is what called tension. Now all the contact forces, one is muscular force, friction, and normal force, and tension. Right. Now try to understand one more concept. It's a simple concept, that is what? Free body diagram. So free body diagram is, let this is an object, simple, a diagram which shows all the forces acting on a body at any instant of time. At any instant, the number of all the forces, if you indicate all the forces at any instant, and that diagram which shows all the forces on the object is called free body diagram. So free body diagram, simple. See, for example, let us take in See, one car is moving. Right. So, let us indicate how many forces are acting on this object. See, one thing, first engine applies the force on that object and the object is moving in this direction. This force is called indicate with F, that is what force due to the engine, let it be E. Right. Now, of course, there is a contact between car wheels and surface. So now at the surface there will be two forces on the object. One is perpendicular to the surface, another one parallel to the surface. So now perpendicular to the surface at the contact, this is what normal reaction force or normal force N1, and this is also one more force N2. Right. Now one more force will be there which opposes the relative motion, that is what friction, and of course primary force, what is that? Weight of the object, W is equals to what? Mg, let it be W only, right? Now see, how many forces are acting on this object? Any other forces? No, right. So how many forces are acting? One is a gravitational force, downward direction, and engine force in forward direction, and friction which opposes the motion backward direction, and due to contact perpendicular to the line of contact force, that is normal reaction force. So if you draw all the forces at instant, that is what this diagram is called free body diagram. Now let us find out what is the resultant force in all directions. For example, this is X and this is Y. We are going to find out net force in all two directions, that is what X and Y. So in X direction, along X direction, what is the resultant force? See, in positive X direction, Fe is there, that is Fe, and negative X direction, small f, that is friction is there. So if I consider this as positive and this should be negative, so F minus F, the net force in X direction, F net along X direction, right. Now coming to the net force in Y direction. So Y direction, what is the net force? F net in Y direction is equals to, let mention here, right. So how many forces are acting in forward positive X direction? N1 and N2. This is N1 plus N2, and in downward direction the weight of the object is acting, that is what? Minus W. So this is the net force acting in Y direction, right. So the diagram which shows the net force all the forces at any instant is called free body diagram, right. Coming to the next topic, very important topic, that is what? Newton's laws of motion. So see, these Newton's laws of motion are very important as they have many applications in our day-to-day life. Right, there are three laws proposed by Sir Isaac Newton. Let us learn one by one. So now, first law of motion. See, let us take this object. See, there is an object, and the question is, see, first this object is in at rest, state of rest. Now the question is, how long will it be in the same state of rest? Answer, until some external force acting on the object disturbs it, right. That means an object continues its state of motion or state of rest until some external force acts on that body. That is what called Newton's first law. For example, unless an external force is being acted on this body, the body remains in the same state of rest or same state of uniform motion. If this object is moving with some velocity or with uniform velocity, it will continue its uniform velocity until one force is being acted on it. Or if the object is at rest, now it object continues its rest state until some force acts on that object. Now this property of the object to continue in the same state or resistance to the state change. That means the tendency of an object to continue the same state is called inertia. This is the inherent property of the material which is called inertia. That is what tendency of an object, see the slide, tendency of an object to continue in the same state, either it is motion or rest, right? Now see what is the measure of inertia? How can you measure the inertia of an object? So see, if you assume there are two objects, one is a truck, another one is a very large object truck, and another one is cycle. So now you are trying to move both the vehicles, that is truck and cycle. Then which can move easily? Simple, that is cycle, we can easily move the cycle, but we cannot easily move that truck. So that means cycle is able to change the state easily, whereas truck resists the state change for that force, right? So which has more resistance to state change? That is heavy object. This is what the heavy mass, the mass is more, the resistance is more to the state change, that is what called inertia, that is inertia is more. More mass, more inertia. See this? Mass is a measure of inertia, that is what more mass, more inertia, less mass, less inertia. You can take this example also. There are two buckets which are hanged with two strings, that is one is empty, another one is loaded with sand. Now which one which can easily move by applying the same force? That is what empty bucket. So the less mass, less resistance to the state change, heavy mass, more mass, maximum resistance to the state change, that is what called inertia, right? So now the inertia of any object is of three types. One is static inertia, that is what called inertia of rest. Another one is inertia of motion, that is kinetic or dynamic inertia, and inertia of direction. Now coming to the static inertia, see, as I said, if the object is at rest, it tries to be in the same state, continues to be in the same state of rest, that is what called that property of the object to be in the same state, the tendency of the object to continue the same state of rest is called as static inertia, right? What are the examples for static inertia? Let us do a simple experiment to understand the static inertia and it has many applications, and we can observe these inertia in daily life applications also. Take a glass and a cord. See, there is a coin on the cord. Now if I pull this cord very slowly, then what is happening here? The coin is coming along with the cord. That is because of what? The friction between cord and coin, right? Now if you pull this or if you flick this cord, within no time, if you apply some force on the object, then what happened? The friction between coin and cord, contracted by the applied force. That's why there will be no friction acting on the coin. that means no force acting on the coin. That's why it tries to be in the same state of rest on the card, where the card removed by the external force, the coin tries to be in the same state of rest as friction is counteracted by the external force. Now the coin falls in the glass due to the gravitational force. Right. One more example. For example, if you are in a bus, what happens when the bus starts as of sudden? See here, this is a bus and you are in a bus which is at rest. Now if the bus starts as of sudden, see here, so what happens to the object? It experiences to have a jerk in backward direction. See once again, see here. So this is why this is happening. You can experience a backward jerk, backward movement as bus starts all of sudden. That is because of, see, lower part of the object is in contact with the bus, so which tries to move in the direction of motion with the bus, in the direction of motion of the bus. Lower part of the object which is in contact with the bus, it tries to move in this with the bus, along with the bus. But upper part, due to the inertia, it tries to be in the same state of rest. That's why it experiences a sudden jerk in backward direction. Right? That is what happening. And one more example. See here. See, there are coins. I hope you played this game. See, if I apply some force on this, now the friction between coins come into the role, plays a major role to move all the coins in applied force direction. So if I apply force as of sudden like this, see once again, see, if I apply force all of sudden, see here, right. So that means what? If any force acted on the body as of sudden, that's counteracts the friction. So that's why there will be no force between upper coins. The coins will tries to be in the same state. This is what called static friction. So once again, the static friction is the tendency of an object to continue in the same state of rest, or the inability of a body to change its state of rest by itself. That is what called static friction. Now coming to the another friction, another inertia, that is inertia of motion. See here, see this example. What is the inertia of motion? See, take a ball, and now I am which is in my hand. Now I am trying to raise my hand. Now what happens? Ball moving together with the hand. See here, right? If I stop my hand by some external force, for example, see here. So what happened to the ball? See, I am raising my hand in upward direction. The object is also moving along with the hand. Now because of this force, hand comes into rest, but the ball continue its motion. That is what called inertia of motion. Here the ball is in motion. Now the because of external force, hand comes into rest, but the ball continues its motion. That is what called inertia of motion, a tendency of an object to continue in the same state of motion is called inertia of motion, or simply the inability of an object, inability of a body to change its uniform motion by itself. That is what called, both are same definitions. One is resistance wise, another one tendency of the object to continue in the same state, right. This is what called inertia of motion. We can also demonstrate that with another example. See here, in case of the object is moving with some uniform velocity, so there is no impact on object which is inside the bus. That means what? Object moves along with the bus without any hesitation. See here. Now, if I stop, see here, if I stop the bus as of sudden, see what happens. See here. So object falls in forward direction. So this also we can we experience in a bus journey cases. If bus stops suddenly, then what happens to the passenger? Passengers experience to have a jerk in forward direction. That is because of same, the lower portion of passenger, lower portion of object here in contact with the bus, it always tries to move along with the bus, or if it is stopping, that means it tries to tries to come into rest, and whereas the upper part tries to continue in the same state of motion and falls in forward direction. Right, now coming to the see, I hope you see this in the Bahubali 1. This is called catapult, and it is also depending on inertia of motion. See, for example, take see here, this is what called payload. This is a mini version. This is a payload and arm, and I triggered it. Now, if I release arm and see, arm and payload, this is payload, moves along together. As obstacle comes, what happens to the arm? Arm comes into rest. Arm comes into rest, whereas the payload continues its motion to move in forward direction. So this is what one more example for the inertia of motion. Now inertia of direction. So this can also be experienced by the passengers who are traveling in a bus. If a bus takes sudden left turn, a bus takes a sudden left turn, then what happens to the passengers? Passengers experience a movement in a rightward direction. If bus takes a sudden left turn, then passengers experience to have a rightward movement. That is because of what? Inertia of direction. Now, what are the applications of Newton's first law? See, in case in applications, if you see shaker, for example, in case of harvesting, fruits harvesting, they use automatic shaker. So it shakes the branches. If branches are shaken, then the branches come into motion, whereas the fruits will be continue in the same state of rest and separated from the tree, and they falls down. Right. In case of for example, if you want to tighten hammer, this is a hammer head and this is handle, and in case of tightening hammer head to the handle, you just need a jerk or a bang on a hard surface. See here, if you want to fix this, then you need a sudden strike onto the hard surface. Then what happens? This arm comes into rest, but whereas this head will continue its motion to fix with the handle. See here, right? So these are the applications of Newton's first law. Now coming to the Newton's second law. So what is Newton's second law? If any force is acting, if any force is acting on an object, then it will change the momentum of the object. For example, see this object mass m and it has some initial velocity u, and if you apply some force, then what happens to its velocity? Its velocity changes to v in some time t, let it be. Now what happens? See, initially it has momentum. Momentum is nothing but what? P is equal to mass into velocity. If one object is moving with some velocity v which has mass m, the momentum is defined as the product of mass and velocity. So it has some initial 5 minutes. So it has a momentum Pi, that is equals to mu, and this is Pf is equals to mv. Now see, because of applied force, the momentum has changed in time t. The rate of change in momentum, that is f, the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to applied force on that object. This is what called Newton's second law. And applications of Newton's second law, that is what, see, in case of if you see, in case of catching the ball, a player tries to lower his hands. See here, the player tries to lower his hands while catching the ball. This is because the momentum, see, catching in the sense what? It has some momentum right before catching, and we need to change that momentum to 0, right? So the momentum, for a particular change in momentum, we need to apply some force. If for that, if it takes more time, for a particular change in momentum, if it takes more time, then what happens to the force? Force will be less. See here, force is inversely proportional to time for particular change in momentum. So that's why, to increase the time, player lowers his hands so that the impact of the ball will be less on hands, so that he will get less injured. And one more case, in case of airbags also, in accidents they'll increase the time to change the momentum so that they will get less hurt in case of accidents. Now coming to the Newton's third law, it is very simple. Every action contains equal and opposite reaction. That means no forces, isolated forces will not be exist in the nature. That means, for example, if I drop this ball onto the a wall or onto some hard surface, then it will bounce back. See, because of my force, it is going towards the surface and hitting it. Now why it is bouncing back? Why it is bouncing back? Because of applied force due to the surface. So if ball hits the ground, then ground also hits the ball in upward direction. This is what called action reaction pair. Okay, so this is what applications of Newton's third law, that is rocket. If you take a balloon, that will if balloon pushes the air in backward direction, then in reaction air pushes the balloon in forward direction. That's why balloon moves in upward direction as air moves in downward direction. This is applicable in rocket. And in case of walking also, we are using Newton's third law. So these are the project work. See here. So see here, the project work is why it is dangerous to jump out of a moving bus, how the Newton's three laws of motion related, explain how Newton's second law of motion is used in sports. Right. Now thank you for your attention.